Boy, do I have a hobby for you. um, you talk about wanting to know more about inner workings of radio and everything else. Well, I call ham radio the hobby of many hobbies. So you have people like me enjoy a little bit of the emergency communication side of it, like the kind of the nets and the coordinated stuff, the stuff that you don't have to talk to someone, because I can talk to myself all the time. I hate talking to other people. I am not good at small talk at all. But anyway, that's just kind of the most widely known portion about the hobby. You have people, we have one in our area who does a lot with repeaters and working with repeaters. There's a whole lot to that, especially if you go look at like a Motorola repeater, things like that. And a lot of fun you can have with them too. And this particular guy created what we are now calling the P25 analog network. Well, what is that? Through a combination of networking, the internet, and multiple repeaters throughout I'll call it the southern half of Minnesota at this point. We have linked multiple repeater systems together into a bigger repeater system. So now, for me here in the Mankato area, I can actually talk to someone up in St. Paul, or Stillwater, or whatever, and down to Iowa, and there's a few others out there as well. So we have all these linked together. You're talking, there's no lag, or basically no lag, and then you're talking to someone from half the state away. He figured all this out using Motorola technology that the police use, and it's working. The nice thing about this system is you can unplug one of the systems and use it as a standalone. It's not dependent on anything else. The only thing the network is dependent on is the one core. But other than that, each repeater, you can unplug them and they'll just still be a repeater. So that is a really nice setup there. That's combining your networking knowledge and radio knowledge. Some people like to fix radios, amplifiers, radios, any kind of radio. Some people enjoy that troubleshooting, that working through the inner workings, and just in general of fixing them. That gets into your working with the inner workings. Some people like to build radios. There are kits that you can buy, and there are some people who enjoy building these kits. And maybe not just for you to use, but maybe for other people. So that's another aspect of the hobby. It's radio adjacent, obviously, because more electronics, but it's still building, it's still understanding the inner workings. Some people like to build antennas and create like antenna kits that they can sell. DX Commander, he is known, he has an antenna brand called the DX Commander, but he enjoys creating new antennas using kind of his system that he has built to do different things. And so he, at least a lot of his videos talk about antenna theory, antenna building, things like that. So that is his aspect of the hobby. Now, all of us get on the air, all of us chat, all of us do contacts, all of us do all that stuff. But this is just another aspect of that hobby that these certain people really enjoy that part of the process. I've been trying to stay away from that because my brain will just go in overload, not because I don't know, I won't be able to figure it out, but because I have enough other stuff on my plate. There's other aspects of the hobby, like I like to do the teaching and the ham radio testing type stuff. So that is another aspect that I enjoy, and thus why I'm on one of the bigger VE teams out on the internet, and at least in my opinion, the best. So, I mean, you got that aspect as well. So, and then just to break it down a little further for other people listening, there are people who really, really enjoy talking through satellites. So they will wait for a satellite to come overhead, and they're hoping that they can actually talk to someone on the other side of the world with their little handy talkie through a satellite. Let that get through your head. You're talking to someone in, I don't know, Australia through a satellite. Yeah, that might still work. Africa, whatever. Some people do that. People make contacts by bouncing signals off the moon. Like, they are literally shooting a signal at the moon. The moon, through its properties, reflects that back, and you can talk to someone literally on the other side of the world, 180 degrees away from you. Obviously, you can't go 181, 182 because it starts to fall behind the horizon. And no, we're not talking flat Earth. And then that's another way to disprove flat Earth. Whatever. My random thoughts in my head. There are people who, with all the auras happening, they will shoot signals off the aura and try and make contacts with people in other locations. That's another thing you can do. All these people have this very specific thing that fascinates them, and some of them obsess over it. Others, one might argue they're obsessive, but they are very good at what they do. There is another ham, K6ARK. He loves going up on the top of mountains with the lightest, smallest, most portable pack he can, radio, antenna, the works, and then he wants to try and make however many contacts you need for summits on the air. You have parks on the air. People like to go to parks, and they set up in a state or national park with their antenna, the radio, and then they try to make their 10 contacts. That is fun. Plus, it gets you out. It gets you kind of practicing for mobile. And there's something else in there. I forgot what I was going to say. In ham radio, we call it CW, but you might know it as Morse code. There are people who are deep in the Morse code, and that kind of factors into the smallest, lightest radio for summits, but also just people kind of driving their skill set on that in order to improve that. And there is so much more associated with it. Introverts like me, I'll just add one more out there, can do digital modes. So there's digital voice, which is one thing. That's talking, blah, blah, blah. Again, introvert. Again, hate small talk. But there's also digital HF. I think you can do some VHF, but that's harder to do. Digital HF modes like FT8, JS8 call, FT4, RIDI, hell something. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. And more. RIDI, I think I mentioned that. So now you can, over HF, attached to a computer, talk to people online. This turned into more than just an answer for you, but I hope that kind of helps people understand that ham radio is a license to learn, a license to play. Ham radio is not just the emergency communications like what we're talking about right now with the hurricanes, though that is one aspect of the hobby. So everyone stay safe out there, and 7-3 WX0 MK.